Hello everyone and welcome to this month's Pinterest project. This month we are going to be making a book wreath. I'm going to go ahead and show you. I've already started working on mine. So this is the start of it. As you can see, we're going to be using pages to make a nice wreath. So what you should have in your supply bag is the actual wire wreath outline. You should also have a book. It's not going to have any covers on it. It doesn't need covers. We just need the pages out of it. These have been just weeded out from the library collection. And then the last thing that should be in your kit is a little bit of ribbon. What you will need on your end is a stapler. You will also need glue. I'm going to be using hot glue today, so I've got that plugged in and off to the side over here, which I will pull over when needed. Got our hot glue. And then you're also going to need whatever you would like to decorate your wreath with. So we've got a real nice base here with the book pages, but as you can see, it might turn out a little bit plain. If you like this plain, rustic, just straight up book page look, that's totally fine. It's going to turn out beautifully once it's completed. It's going to be nice and full and fun. But I know a lot of people, which I'll pop up some examples in a minute here, they'd like to elaborate on it. So they'll put like glitter around like the ends of the pages, or they'll add some ribbon in the center, or they'll just continue to have the pages go all the way in so that it looks kind of like a flower of book pages. So we're going to build your base wreath is what we're going to do in the video today. And then from there, I would love to see what you guys come up with and create with your own wreaths. Send those pictures to programs@shorewood-troy-library.org, and that'll be at the end of the video as well if you want to send over pictures of that. We love seeing what you guys come up with because you're all so creative and it's awesome, and it's great to see what everyone thinks of. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and get started. You can see with the base here, there's different sections. So I went ahead and I did the first two sections just so you could get an idea as to what it's going to look like as you're going along. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this next section here. The first thing that we're going to have to do is we are going to have to tear out the pages of the book, which for my avid readers, this might be very painful for you, but it's okay. These books, they're not in the greatest shape. That's why we're going to be using them like this. So I have a few torn already, but all you're going to want to do, and you can see if your cover isn't completely taken off, I just ripped the cover completely off of this one, and you can see this one's all damaged, which is why I'm using this one. Once your cover is completely off and all that you're left with is that glued spine, or some of them have threaded spines, all you're going to do is just page by page, you're just going to just tear it off. It's okay if it has some rough edges. I don't know if you guys can see, this one's not perfect because I'm going to show you how we roll it up so that you don't even see that. You just want to make sure you have one clean edge. So go ahead and rip out several sheets. For each section, it's going to be at least 15 pages that you're going to be doing per section, and that's a minimum. So if you want it to be even more full, then you're going to want to have more than that. But from what I did here with mine, and you can count on the front of it, you can see I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that's the end of the section, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 in the other one. That's because I did a little bit wider in that one, but somewhere between 12 to 15 pages is what's going to fill that area. So go ahead and tear out all your sheets, and once you have those torn out, I worked ahead a little bit, so I'm only going to tear out a couple more. Then what you're going to do is you are going to roll your sheet of paper. So I'm going to move this out of the way a second. And how you do that is you're going to take this edge that had the imperfections and you're going to use that to start with. So we're going to come in on an angle, if you guys can see that, and we're just going to slowly just wrap around this point that we're left with at the end here. So we're just going to slowly wrap. There we go. And then you're going to come out with a really long ice cream cone shape. Once you have this shape, what we're going to do is we're going to take about 2 to 3 inches, and if you'd like to use a ruler while you're doing this, feel free, but I've just been eyeballing the wreath while I've been going along, and it's completely fine to do that. So went up a few inches here, and we're just going to bend it back. Once that is bent, we're going to take our wreath, and we're going to thread it through. I'm going to go ahead and just do this second one here, just so that you can get a better picture. You're going to thread it through so that it is, if it's one of the middle ones, it's going to be above the last one, but you're going to want that wire to be in the seam of that fold that you had. So once you have that and it's put in place, then you're going to take your stapler and you're going to come in and you're just going to staple that. Right now you can see that that is very loose and flimsy, but these are very stable. So I'm going to let you know, after we have our rows stapled and they're all on here and they can still move and wiggle, after we have them stapled on, then we are going to adhere them to each other with the hot glue. And that is what is going to make them nice and sturdy and stable like these other 2 sections that I have here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a whole bunch more of these so that we get our section filled up. And then I am going to come back and I'm going to show you how we glue that. So I'm going to do one more with you guys just so that you get another example of how it's rolled and stapled. And then I'm going to finish this up and show you how you glue. So one more roll. Got another sheet of paper here. My fringed end is over here. I'm going to bring it forward so that we've got this fold up here and we've got our point down at the bottom, and we're going to roll and keep that point down at the bottom. So there's that. And we just roll that. There we go. And we're going to go about 2 to 3 inches and we are just going to fold. Once that's folded, I'm going to bring my wreath back over here. I'm going to put this one right next to it. Move this so that you guys can see. I'm going to have it go over the bottom wire, but the wire that it's attached to should fall in that crease of the fold that we had. So once I have that, I'm going to staple. There we go. So I am going to go ahead and get the rest of mine for this section. And when I come back to the video here, then we're going to go through how to glue. Okay, so I have gotten to a point now where I've got my back row is all filled in, and I've got a few that I started from the clip earlier that are up here as well. So I'm ready to start gluing. You can do this one of 2 ways. If you want to be at the part where I'm at, where you have one row completed and then you're starting to work on a second one so that you're gluing and stapling kind of at the same time, that's fine. If you want to have all of your papers on first and then glue it all together, that's fine too. Completely up to you in whatever way you're going to do it. I just want to be able to show you, without having all of the papers here kind of interfering with the camera view, how you're going to go about attaching the pieces. So we've got my back row here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the glue along the bottoms of the back row so that when we attach this, it's going to hit this bottom part and it's not going to drag down this piece too far back. If we had the glue up here, it would flatten out our piece when we're pressing it down, and then it just wouldn't be as puffy and nice. So I'm going to go ahead and get the glue, and I'm going to put it, hopefully you guys can see this real well, right at the bottoms of these. If you're using hot glue, be careful, this will be hot because you're just using paper. And then I'm just going to press and hold. And hot glue luckily dries pretty quickly, so you don't have to hold it too long. And once that's on there, then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish this section of the wreath so that you guys can see the process of if you're gonna do staple glue. If you're gonna do it so that everything is all stapled and attached and then glue it, that might be easier. Like I said, it's completely a preference thing. So however you would like to do it, as long as they get stapled and glued so that they're nice and sturdy, that is all that matters. If you don't have a stapler at home, you can also just glue everything as well. You're gonna wanna use a glue that is quick drying, so either hot glue or like a super glue, glues that are going to adhere immediately versus like Elmer's glue or craft glue, because those take time to dry. So you can do this without using the stapler if you don't have a stapler at home. If you do, it just makes things a little bit easier and quicker. So just want to throw that out there for anyone that's watching the video and like, oh man, I wanted to do this, but I didn't have a stapler, or I didn't get a stapler in time. You can still do it with just the glue. It'll work just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and make another one here. Once we have that, again, we are weaving it so that it comes up in front of the one behind it. But then the wire's gonna fall in that crease. And actually, I'm gonna make this one a little bit shorter because it's going in front of that. Staple, and then to glue, we want right along the bottom here. Go, and press and hold. And you guys should be able to see, yeah, you can already tell the difference between the pieces that I have glued together. They're nice and sturdy and attached versus the ones that I have hanging here. So you're going to continue this. It's going to be a little bit of a lengthy process. As you can tell, it takes a little while to get every section done, and it's a bigger wreath. So you're going to finish your entire wreath, and then I'll come back at the end once mine is all put together, and I'll show you a few different ways that you can personalize this at home, and show a few different examples of ones that we found when we were on Pinterest finding examples for these. We're also going to go over how to attach the hook when I come back again. Okay, so we are back. We have finished making the wreath, and you can see, can't really see the whole thing. It is a little bit large. Hope you guys were prepared for that. I necessarily wasn't when I first made mine. But I included that in the email when I sent out the instructions for, or pickup for supplies. But yes, this is going to be a little bit large. So here is our wreath. We've got these nice ends here, which I think maybe later on I might add something to it. Feel free to decorate this however you would like once it's complete. I've thought about maybe adding glitter to the ends or putting some ribbon or something in the center, just kind of make it a little bit more detailed, or leave it as is. It's beautiful, it's book pages, and as a book nerd, I am in love with this. So this is your completed wreath. But to finish it off, we need to do the hook in the back, which is what that red ribbon was that I included in your kit. So this here, we're going to need that. You're going to flip over your wreath, and because everything is stapled and glued, it's all solid, so you're not going to ruin it by flipping it over. Once you have that, what you're going to want to do, and you might be having to flip back and forth a little bit, is you're going to want to see where you're going to want the top of your wreath to be. Because I don't have a ton of spaces in between my papers, first thing I'm going to do is find a good spot where I've got a little bit of space, which right here I found a perfect spot. I've got, let's move this around. I've got just a little bit of space right here, which would be perfect for my hook. So I'm going to flip this over, Make sure that it looks okay with that being the top, which I think it does. So flip that back over. All we are going to do, you can make this as elaborate or not elaborate as you'd like, but basically we just want to make sure that the ribbon gives us enough to hook onto something, either a wreath holder, or if you use a command hook for yours, that's what I use at home. So you can do this one of two ways. You can knot each end of the ribbon around 2 different pieces of paper. That would give it a little bit more structure and keep it in that solid one place. Oh, sorry, as I shut the camera there. Or you can also do this, which should keep it in one place as well. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see really well what I'm gonna do here. So I've slipped the ribbon under that spot that I'm gonna be using as the top here. So I've got my end, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knot around. This will give it a slight bit of movement just in case I need to adjust it while it's hanging on the wall, but it's also gonna keep it pretty much in place so that the top of my wreath doesn't wiggle around all over the place. So all I did was knot that. We've got that in there. Great. Got a good hook here, which it's still short enough that the pages are gonna block that out. If you want it to show, then find a spot where the pages aren't going to. I cut all of the ribbons pretty long so that you would be able to adjust height-wise what you wanted. If you wanted it shorter, so that when you hung it up on the wall, all you really had to do was, hang it close to where the actual wreath is, you can do that as well. If you have a blank spot on your wreath like this and your hook allows it, you might not even have to add the ribbon. But I wanted to have this ribbon so that I have a nice hook spot for it when I bring it home. So now I'm gonna zoom this out a little bit, just go right up onto the wall here so that I can show you guys our finished product. Hanging right off the hook that I have here. Like I said, it keeps it pretty well stable. It's not gonna bounce around, but if I needed to adjust it just a tad so that it curves that way a little bit, I can. And that is it. That is our beautiful book wreath for January Pinterest. Please, please, please send us your pictures. It's going to be to programs@shorewood-troy-library.org, and I will have that email address at the end of the video here. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had fun and hope you enjoy your book wreath. Thanks, everybody.